Hey, my name is Tyler Boronski. You're watching my YouTube channel where I'm sitting down with recognizable faces in entertainment and the digital space. Today's guest, he's a 22-year-old music sensation, already quickly making a name for himself in the industry.
Breathing and cigarette smoking, both missed the last train home now. We don't got a place to go, we don't got a place to go.
He's open for One Republic, and next year he's scheduled to be one of the acts for the Calabash South Africa 2024 festival, where Maroon 5 is headlining, so not too bad of company to be a part of. He is South Africa's own Will Linley. Will, thanks for taking the time to do this. How are you doing, bro?
Come on, man. Come on. What an intro. What an intro.
Man, I got it for you, dude. You know, you're killing the game lately. Let's talk about that festival, bro, because I just looked up some pictures of the Cape Town Stadium before this. Capacity over 58,000. That's going to be a crazy show. Growing up in Cape Town, what can you share about, that festival and just what that stadium, any experiences going there as a kid?
Bro, ridiculous. It's insane. I still remember, so that stadium, the Cape Town Stadium and the Johannesburg Stadium that I'm playing at was built for the 2010 World Cup, the Soccer World Cup. And I still remember I watched, I think it was a quarterfinal, I watched Spain versus Portugal in that Cape Town Stadium, which was crazy. And that's when I really just fell in love with it. And then I later then watched like Justin Bieber perform there and watched Ed Sheeran perform there. So to be performing in the same stadium that those greats have performed in is just so exciting. I'm absolutely buzzing. It's going to be incredible.
Dude, that's super surreal. And you're so young, so it's like that's only like a few years ago, I'm guessing, for you when you saw them perform too. So it's full circle very quickly, I would say. So
yeah, no, it's insane. And one day we'll just have to go do our own show there. But it's super exciting to be playing and to be a part of this festival, Calabash. I think it's actually the first time that they really are putting this festival on. So it's really exciting to be a part of something new and exciting, and to be on a list of acts as great as like Keen and Maroon 5 and Medusa and Ava Max and Loyiso, who's an incredible South African artist. It's such a blessing. It's so exciting.
I know you said in another interview for your One Republic situation, you didn't get a chance to meet them or take a photo. This time with Maroon 5, you got to get a photo with Adam and the crew this time. So hopefully that works out for you.
I'm going for the boys. I'm going after them. We'll find them. I'll hunt them down.
There you go. How'd you get connected for this festival in the first place? I know you said this is the first time they're really getting this amount of collective talent for this festival, but how'd you get connected for it?
I think through the promoters. The guys at big concerts are the same promoters who did the One Republic shows, and so I think when they were putting on this festival and they were looking for some South African artists, it was they phoned me up and it was the easiest yes I've ever said.
There you go, perfect example of why connections matter at the end of the day. They remembered you from that show and they thought about you for this show. So
they're the best. Come on.
Love it. I'm curious for you, growing up in South Africa, how would you say that, shape maybe your music style, your, kind of your inspirations, moving forward with this career path? How would you say growing up in South Africa can help shape you in that sense?
Tyler, I love this question, man. I think, that I've always struggled with kind of giving an answer to this, because I think when you grow up in a specific space, sometimes it's hard to actually see how certain things have influenced you and how has South African music influenced the music that I'm making right now. I think a big part of South African culture is community. And what I like to do is to create music within community, to create music with my friends, with the people that I'm closest with, and to build from that. And I think slowly but surely, as I've started to uncover what it means to write songs and the art of creating music and writing from the heart, I think what I've started to realize is there are so many different fields and boundaries that I can push when it comes to creating music that actually resonates with me and resonates with the sounds that I heard when I was growing up. And so I think that there's still music to come that you'll be like, oh wow, that's something new, that's something completely different that I haven't heard from Will yet. But it's coming. But I think that the biggest thing for me is creating with community, creating with friends, and that's been incredible. I work a lot with two South African producers, and they are just absolutely incredible. Their names are David and Bubele, and just the kindest, most incredible individuals.
I love that. And you speak about, how community has shaped your music, how important it is for you to build your community right now through your fan base. And let's kind of go back to, when you were starting the beginning process of that. I know you've talked about in other interviews how COVID, even though there's a lot bad with COVID, but it was, for a lot of, I feel like people in the entertainment space, music space, it was a chance for you guys to really hone in on your craft. I know you mentioned you went to university for about 6 weeks before dropping out. Yeah. Can you discuss about how that period, just help you, I guess, really improve your craft and, like I said, just start building your community to, what it is now?
Yeah, I think, with COVID, it kind of just forced us to all be in our own spaces and to explore internally rather than looking externally to like fill your days or whatever. And for me, it meant sitting at my desk and sitting with my guitar or with my laptop and creating songs, and when I tell you that music was the last thing that I thought I'd ever end up doing, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It never thought that I never felt like it was a proper thing that I could do. I think I'd never seen like South Africans pushing the space of pop music. And for me, it was such a far off distant dream that was for American singers or European singers. When I started writing a lot, I was writing like a song a day, 2 songs a day. And one of those songs later became known as a song that is called Miss Me When You're Gone, which was the first song I ever released. And when that kind of started to gain momentum on social media and on TikTok and stuff, it suddenly like opened all these doors of opportunity. And I started to realize like, oh goodness, if I really try and push into this space and just continue to try and do what I do, maybe I can make this a career. And here I am 2 years later sitting and talking to you about being a musician, and it still hasn't properly sunk in.
How did you handle that time? Because like you said, now all these opportunities are coming at you. You were never expecting in the first place. Who did you rely on during that period? And like, how did you, I guess, navigate, like, who do I trust? Like, how do I handle all this? Because like you said, this was just so new to you and it was coming at you quick.
Dude, I'd met David, who I work with a lot now. I met him like at the beginning of COVID. So when I started writing stuff, him and I very like quickly built a friendship and a connection, and we just started, riffing off each other, and I'd send him ideas and he'd send me ideas. But he is a bit older than me and had been in the South African music space for a little bit longer, and his producing partner Bubele, they had kind of been burned a little bit, in the space, and had some deals that had not treated them well, and they had learned a lot of things going into the music space. And so they kind of just took me under their wing, man, and they were so kind to me and so caring, and I would get DMs from people and I'd send them to David and be like, what do you think? And then David and Bubele would be like, no, don't, no, stop, don't. And I'd be like, okay,
red flag, don't do that.
I was like this headless freaking chicken running around, and David and Bubele were like just covering me with their wings and just walking with me and making sure that, I was protected. And, they're some of my closest friends in the music industry. And I literally live with Bubele when I come out to LA. They were instrumental in my early days as an artist and making sure that I took the right steps.
I'm curious now for you with David and the rest of your team. What are your conversations like right now in terms of game planning? Like what you should do for your career in terms of like, what do we need to prioritize? Do we need to spend our time trying to set up live shows? Do you need to do X amount of time posting 1 or 2 TikToks a day? Yeah. I'm just curious to know what your conversations right now for your career, because like you have had a lot of success, but I also know there's another level I'm sure you want to get to. So what are your conversations right now with, how much you need to prioritize for the music side and then like social media as well?
Come on, Tyler with the big questions, baby. I love it. I think, the basis of it all is music. You've got to have the music. And I think that that's one thing that I'm really focusing on right now, is creating music that I think can translate really, really well in the live space. And that's kind of the big focus. And then I think that the next focus is like, okay, how do I represent South Africa in my music? How do I represent home when I'm 10,000 miles away from home? And so there those conversations about like, okay, so what does it look like if we start thinking about the future, if we start thinking about creating a debut album? How are we representing home in those songs, you know? But it all comes down to the music, and then on top of that, it's the live shows, and that's where that's what I've fallen in love with. And I think there's so many things that I'm still learning, and I'm still cutting my teeth and figuring things out. At the end of the day, live shows is where you can create the experience, where you can immerse yourself with your fans and look at people in the eye that are listening to your songs, that are the reason that you are standing on the stage performing these songs. And that is one of the most beautiful things ever. And so for me, in my heart, I'm like, how do I just keep on like increasing touch points with fans? How do I keep on interacting with those people that are helping me live out my dream? I count myself as one of the luckiest people in the world to get to do what I get to do. And so for me, it's about the music, it's about representing home, and then it's about how do I take this on the road and interact with the fans that are helping me live out this dream.
I love that answer. And you're talking about interacting with the fans on the road. I am curious how you and your team, I guess, decide, you know, when it comes to live shows, okay, the type of first off, where you want to do it, and then like venue size as well, given, you know, your following. What are those conversations like? Because like we were just talking off air, you know, I found you through a friend that where you did a show in New Hampshire, I believe. You know, that's just a random place, you know, New Hampshire. I know, I'm sure South Africa, you have a big presence. So how are you and your team deciding where you want to do your shows right now, given your following size, and then like the type of venues you are targeting to choose as well?
Yeah. Oh, dude, love these questions. I think, you know, the big thing for me is like, I'm not a global superstar that can go sell out 1,000 cap rooms around Europe and America. You know, I'm so far from that. And so I think that the big thing is, how do we be strategic in building a fan base? And, you know, a big thing is that like, it's the hardest thing is to get like your first 200 people in the door. Once you get 200, hopefully you can convince them that like, this was worth it and you loved it and you enjoyed it, and that'll turn into 300, into 400, and it will slowly start to grow. But I think the biggest thing for a small artist like myself to know is that like, it doesn't happen overnight, you know, and the beauty is in the like little steps. Because if you have a song that does 1 billion streams before you are ready to have a song that does 1 billion streams, people will know your song, but they won't know you as an artist. And I think for me, my most important thing is trying to just create the connection and touch points with fans. And for there to be a story that we can tell each other, that like, I can say like, oh, I remember you. Like there's I remember you at my Cologne show when I played to like 150 people. That's incredible. And now look at what we're doing in 5 years' time. This is unbelievable. You know, I think the important thing is that, you know, we want a story to tell, and the most important thing is to not shoot too big, to make sure that you're just taking each step as it comes. And for me right now, I played like a 250 cap room in London last year, and we're going to go back on the road in February, and we're just upping that to like 350. And, you know, and will we sell it out? We don't know, but you got to try, you got to figure it out. You got to at least just be like ignorant and just jump for it and see what happens. But I think the biggest thing is to not skip steps. That's one of the things I've learned, is focus on your music, get your music out, see what connects with fans. And the more authentic and real and honest you are on your writing, the more that it will connect with people. And when you start playing your live shows, don't skip steps, just keep going.
I'll leave you with this, Will, as the last question. Like I was telling you off air, you know, I just recently discovered you, love your music, of course. I think you're killing it. As more people start to discover you, they start listening to your music, what would be the biggest compliment someone could say about you and your music once they finally hear about you for the first time?
Oh, man.
Big question, I know, big question.
Tyler, I think one of the biggest ones would be like, man, it soundtracked one of my most incredible memories that I've ever had. You know, like for me, if somebody can come to me and say like, "Miss Me When You're Gone" was my wedding dance, my first dance song at my wedding, that's like, what the heck? Like, what the heck? I got a video of like some friends of mine back at home. They sent me a video of a wedding that they went to, and "Miss Me" was the first dance, and I was like, what? This is ridiculous. And you know, people telling me like, "Oh, Last Call was the song that I played when I graduated high school, and all my friends and I were singing Last Call at the top of our lungs." You know, that for me is why I do it, man. If somebody can come and tell me like, "Oh, this song was the soundtrack to this particular moment," that's just, man, it gives me shivers thinking about those types of things. It's beautiful to hear those types of stories.
I love that. Yeah, having your song associated with a core memory for someone, I don't think that could top that. So that's a great answer. He's Will Linley. You can catch him, at the music festival in South Africa if you can make it out there, but also just check out what he's doing on social media. He's killing it right now and in the music space. So Will Linley, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and good luck to you, man.
Thank you so much for your time. You're a freaking beast, man. Thank you.